Hey friends, Bri Seeley back with you for today's episode, which I'm very excited about because it is inspired by a listener's question. Hi Bri, I've been following you for years. I find myself, as you say, stuck on the growth plateau. My business has been selling individual sessions, but I'm resonating with the idea of overworking because I have to work so hard to make $150. What do? I want to make more money, but I am at capacity. The issue with this business model is that you do reach capacity very quickly. There is no growth model available when you're trading time for money because we're limited on time. I don't know about you, my watch only holds 24 hours in a day, and that automatically means that you're also limiting yourself on money. So I'm really excited to get into this today. I'm going to do a little bit of math and illustrate for you exactly where the limitations lie with this. I'm going to talk about my journey of leveraging and scaling my business. I'm going to talk about some of the challenges and mistakes that I've faced along the road, and also some things that you can start doing to shift your business model so that you're more in alignment with your goals and your bigger vision.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur Coach podcast. I'm the Entrepreneur Coach Bri Seeley. My mission is to help female entrepreneurs like you have the audacity to believe in the inevitability of your success, then to gather the resources, tools, and knowledge you need to create your most aligned and profitable pathway to your vision of success. This podcast is all about providing you with a nitty-gritty behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Forget the success porn and the rags to riches stories. Each episode will pull back the curtain and share the reality of entrepreneurship. I cannot wait to be part of your journey.
All right. So on today's episode, we are talking about building leverage into your business so that you can stop trading time for money and stop limiting yourself in terms of the income that you can create in your business. I want to start out with just a little bit of simple math just to illustrate why this business model is limited. This individual is charging $150 an hour. Let's say you sleep for 6 hours a night, and then between eating and using the restroom, it accounts for, say, like another 2 hours a day. If you wanted to go full out and hit your maximum ability to make money, you'd be working 16 hours a day giving sessions. Now, this means that your maximum income every single day would cap at $2,400 a day. That might sound like a lot, but once we expand the numbers, that is $67,200 a month. Again, may sound like a lot. That number doesn't even get you to six figures. That would cap you out around $800,000 a year. Don't get me wrong, that is a great income. Not everyone needs to, nor do they want to go for seven figures. And this math I just gave you means you're working 112 hours a week. That is more than 3 times what a full-time job would be. It also means you're working 112 hours a week in your business. That means there is no time to work on your business. No time to do marketing, social media, visibility, client generation, newsletters, podcasts, nothing but you giving sessions. I also happen to know that this means that you get zero life. You are overworking and underliving. You do not get a single moment to enjoy the life that you've worked so hard to build for yourself. You're going from bed to shower to breakfast to back-to-back sessions with no time in between, to lunch to back-to-back sessions to dinner to bed, and then you do it all over again tomorrow. I don't know about you, the whole reason that I know I and my clients have become entrepreneurs is so that we don't have to do this dance. We know you're at the point where you want to make a change, but here's where most people get stuck in this process. You have to give up the business you have in order to build the business you dream of. What does that mean? It means you can't keep doing what you've done if you want to build the business you dream of. You have to let go of what is in order to create space for what will be. Now, I know this sounds scary. I promise it is not as scary as it sounds. It does not mean you have to give up your entire current business, but a lot of what you're currently doing is going to have to go, and a lot of what you're currently doing is going to have to change. Quick little tip, I'll mention more about this later in the episode. If you need a resource to help you through this process, I would really encourage you to check out my 5-day mini course, The Reset, and you can get it by visiting briseeley.com/reset. Is this risky? Is it risky to give up the business you have, to build the business you dream of? Yes, there is absolutely risk involved in this decision, but it is not as risky as you think it is, and it is not as risky in the way that you currently think it is. There is always risk when change is involved. But the thing that I think we forget to address is that there's also huge risk that comes with staying where we are. The risk of our mental health from burnout, the risk of our physical health from working 112 hours a week, the risk of hating our business, wanting to close it, and having to go back into corporate, the risk of losing all of our relationships around us because we're working 112 hours a week. I've taken a lot of risks in my life, starting at a very young age. And what I have learned over and over and over again, all the way from deciding to change my last name when I was 14, to moving to Italy when I was 20, to starting my first business when I was 24, the risk of staying where you are when you are already unhappy is a way bigger risk than the risk of growing, evolving, and changing will ever be. Hard stop. Period. All right, so we're all on the same page now. We all know that we're a yes for taking this step, deciding to make changes in our business, to let go of the business we have so that we can build the business we dream of. I wanted to share with you quickly a few mistakes that I made in this process, what I would do instead, and then we can start diving into what you need to do in your business to start making changes. So the first mistake I will say that I made in this process was that I hired an agency way too soon. I wasted a ton of money and time paying people who were not invested in helping me succeed. I lost so much time, energy, momentum, and dollars because of it. The next mistake I made was that I did not have a big picture strategic plan. I was just so focused on that next step that I didn't actually understand how it all fit together. And more importantly, I didn't know what the most strategic next step was. I was just kind of following the breadcrumbs, which, don't get me wrong, has served me very well in my life, but not in this area. I needed to be very strategic with what my next step was, and I wasn't doing that. What I was doing, which is my next mistake, was that I took a lot of actions because the industry told me that it's what works. Now, a lot of these actions felt very misaligned and they felt very gross. There's a lot of things about the coaching industry that I have never resonated with, but I kept telling myself, like, well, but what's wrong with me? Other people are doing this. Other people that are frankly worse coaches than me are doing this, and they're making way more money and have way more clients. Why can't I do that too? And I would literally go against my inner compass, against what felt aligned, what felt exciting, and I would force myself to take these actions and do these things because they worked. Last but not least, I lacked consistency and I didn't focus on building relationships. I would send 3 newsletters a month and then not send any for 6 months. And I would post for 3 solid weeks on social media and then I wouldn't post for a month. I really have found that showing up consistently in your business is a huge thing. And when you can couple consistency with strategy, amazing things happen. What would I do instead in my leveraging journey? First things first, I would hire a me to identify more effective revenue streams and a more effective strategy way earlier. I did work with several coaches on my journey. One was a mindset coach who really helped me get to my first 6 figures. One was actually kind of a grief coach who helped me work with a lot of stories that I was telling myself about me. Like I said, I've hired some agencies, things like that, but I never really hired a strategic business consultant that would come in and see me as me and work with me and my strengths rather than just say, well, this is what works. I wish that I would have done that way earlier. The next thing I do instead is I would focus more on overserving my customers. I think we really underestimate the level of impact that a great customer relationship can have in our lives. Unhappy customers are very willing to go out and share their bad experiences. We also underestimate how having really amazing, good customers that are incredibly loyal to us has on going out and saying great things about us. I would focus more on building deeper relationships with the customers I had rather than trying to amass more customers. Next, I would diversify and innovate. So I sold the exact same programs for way too long without putting anything new on the market. One of my programs I've sold since 2017, and the other one I believe I've sold since maybe 2019. And I'm just right now offering up some new revenue streams. If we don't have anything new for people to buy, then our loyal customers won't become return customers. Last thing I would do differently is I would simplify my marketing and I would double down on what worked. I got so hooked into this idea that we have to do everything. People, you go online and it's like, oh, if you want to be successful, you have to have a YouTube. But this person over here is like, well, you have to have an Instagram. And this person over here is like, well, you have to have an email list and you have to have this and you have to have this. And all of a sudden you have 20 different things that you have to have in your business. And none of them are working effectively because you're putting a sliver of energy into each one rather than taking all of your energy and just pouring it into the one or two things that are working. Let's dive into what this means for you. How do you start to use this knowledge and apply it in your business? The first thing is you have to start identifying new revenue streams. We're going to talk about passive income. We're going to talk about one-to-many offers, and we're going to talk about how to effectively leverage your current time for money offers. The first thing I want you to sit down and do, and hopefully you have a notebook in front of you so you can jot these things down, is I really want you to walk through your resources. I want you to take an inventory. I want you to look at the skills, the knowledge, the network, the assets. Like, what do you currently have within you, in your business, that you can utilize to create additional value and generate revenue in a different way? So basically, how can you use your skill set in new ways to create value that does not require your direct time over and over and over again? Some examples of this might be launching a course. You could launch an audio course. Something where you're putting out energy once and multiple people can buy it. You could make a sale a day and never have to put your direct time in ever again, other than building it. I'll give you an example of this. I am a hypnotherapist, if you did not know. I do subconscious activations to help people get their subconscious mind on board with what their conscious mind is wanting to create. So I've been doing this since 2017, and for me to do a session with someone, first of all, it's rather expensive. I charge, I think, around $2,500 for a single session because it takes so much of my time. I have to meet with the person, identify what they want, identify what their block is, write a custom 10-page script. I handwrite them each and every time we do the session. There's follow-up, there's additional coaching calls. It is a lot. What I have identified is that there's 5 consistent things that most everyone comes to me about. So what I've done is I'm turning these 5 issues that people come to me about into subconscious activation tracks that people can purchase and do over and over and over again. 1,000 people could go buy the Abundance Accelerator subconscious activation track that I put a few hours of writing the script, plus recording, plus some of the tech stuff, and I never again have to touch it. So I'm doing 5 of those. Adding in super quickly here, the additional benefit to this is while these individually may cost $2,500, and some people can't afford a custom hypnosis experience, 35-day deep dive with me personally, the added benefit of me doing these pre-recorded subconscious activations is that the investment for the customer is also significantly lower. And we strategized a way with my assistant coach for people to be able to add on additional Voxer support if they so desire it. But again, that's not taking away from my time and energy in my business at all either. So there's benefits to you doing this, but there's also benefits to your customer for you doing this as well. The next thing I want you to think about is how could you switch from offering your services or products on an individual basis to creating offerings that can be sold to multiple customers simultaneously? Examples of this are things like group coaching programs, online memberships, things where it's you and you are working with 10 individuals at a time rather than one. I have been a huge proponent for group coaching basically since the beginning. The first program I ever offered was a group-based program. And now, 9 years into my business, I just launched my first mastermind and I do very little one-on-one coaching, which brings us to the last thing that I need you to do in order to walk through this process in your business. And that is raise your prices. When I work with my clients, this is always the first thing that we do. Your one-on-one offers have got to be more expensive. I'm going to tell you guys straight up, I charge $5,000 a month to work one-on-one with me. And the reason I do that is because I pour a lot of time and energy into my private clients. And so the value I'm putting out needs to match the value that they're putting in. You also cannot have it so that your group programs are priced similarly to your one-on-one programs. The value in those two containers is very different. And there is absolutely no way you should be charging less than $150 an hour. So if you're charging $150 an hour for your group program, then you need to be charging more for your one-on-ones. If you've never done this before, there's a good chance you're going to bump up against a few challenges. So let's walk through those now so you know that they're coming and you can spot them when they're there. The first thing is really sitting down and just identifying the most suitable income streams for you that match and align with both your values, your needs, but also your target audience. The one thing I recommend here is conducting market research and then being willing to test a few different things to find out what works best. Unfortunately, entrepreneurship is more of an art and not a science. So as much as I'd like to say, pick one and do it, doesn't work that way. I also, unfortunately, on this podcast cannot help you come up with effective ideas and strategies. It is near impossible for me to do this without knowing about you, your vision, your customer, and your goals. Like I mentioned earlier, I worked with a lot of people that were like, well, this strategy works for everyone, so you should do it. Strategies don't work for everyone. There's no one size fits all. It has to be customized to you, your vision, your customer, and your goals. So be willing to take those things into consideration when you're going through this process. The next challenge that you might come up against is balancing your time and effort. Right now, most of your time is taken up making money in your business. The thing that becomes hard when you're switching business models is leveraging aims to reduce your time commitment. But establishing these leveraged offers requires an initial effort. You have to build it. While you're in this process, your billable hours or your, sessions might need to decrease. You might need to take a decrease in revenue so that you have more time and space to be building the things that you want. You've got to be prepared to invest your time up front for more long-term benefits. If you're only in a sprint mode right now, this can be very difficult to see. Moving from a sprint to a marathon mentality is a tough one. So be patient with yourself and give yourself permission to mess it up. The last challenge I want to touch on is really training your audience. If they're accustomed to getting one-on-one time with you, it might take some recalibration for them to adjust to both your new pricing and your revenue streams. You may want to start giving them heads up like, hey y'all, some changes coming. I'm super excited about it. The more you can hype it up, if they already trust you, they're going to trust the new direction that you're taking them in. Keep them apprised of the process. Be super transparent. Let them know what's going on behind the scenes so that it's not like one day they just go to your website and everything's different. Before we wrap, I want to give you 4 very specific resources. It's more like 3 resources and 1 piece of homework. These things are really going to help you through this process so that you can come out on the other side with a leveraged business, more income, and less work. We have got to get you out of the addiction to overworking and underliving. I promise you, it is not worth it. You know what is worth it? Building a business that supports you. Building a business that allows you to live a life. You did not come here to be a working machine. You became an entrepreneur so that you can enjoy life. 3 resources, 1 piece of homework. The first resource is to go through my free 5-day mini course, The Reset. Mentioned this earlier. It's going to help you evaluate what is causing you to overwork and underlive. Then you're also going to identify what has to go, what has to stay, and what has to be added. It's going to help you walk through the entire process in 5 days. Not going to lie, it's a little intense, but if you just keep showing up, you're going to get there. You can visit briseeley.com/reset to get your free access to that course. The next resource is I want to encourage you to join my free community. There are over 1,000 entrepreneurs in this community, and they're entrepreneurs just like you who are looking for more in their business, who want to stop overworking. And it's really important to have the right people around you when you're making the shift. So you can go to briseeley.com/community and join us there. Third resource, if you're still stuck and you're just sick of trying to figure this out alone because you don't know what you don't know, you know the business you have no idea how to get to the business you dream of, I want you to apply for my Women's Business Mastermind. Now, at the time of this recording, I believe there are only 2 spaces remaining, so don't dilly-dally. Submit your application. Let's have a conversation. It's just basically going to ask you about your business up till this point, and also then where do you want to go? Based on that information, we're going to have a simple conversation. I'm going to ask you some questions, understand, as I mentioned before, you, your vision, your customer, and your goals to know if I can help you reach those goals or not. So you can visit briseeley.com/mastermind to submit your application. Last but not least, your one piece of homework. One of my favorite exercises that I make almost all of my clients do at some point when they're working with me is I want you to sit down and write out 50, not 15, 50 potential new revenue streams that you could put in place that do not require your direct application of time in order to administer those revenue streams. Now, I know what you're thinking, Bri, 50 is so much. I don't even know one revenue stream I want to create. How am I going to come up with 50? Believe me, you can do it. Like I said, I do this exercise. All of my clients have done this exercise. It's going to help you expand your mind past what you can currently see to understand more of the opportunities awaiting you. Now, if you truly cannot make it through this list, I really want to encourage you to apply for the mastermind, because if you cannot conceptualize the business that you dream of with the revenue streams and the time and all of the freedom, it's going to be really hard to create it. And at that point, you might need a me in your life to help you get there. 50 ideas on ways to create revenue streams that do not require your direct time and energy. All right, friends, this is the end of today's episode. As always, if you know of someone who's trying to leverage their business and just keeps running into brick wall after brick wall after brick wall, please share this episode with them. Get the resources into the hands of the people that need it the most. Don't forget to join the community, get your access to the reset, and apply for the mastermind. And I will see you on the next episode of the Entrepreneur Coach podcast.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Entrepreneur Coach podcast. I hope you gain valuable wisdom from this episode and have at least one thing you can act on today. As I always say, listening to this episode will not change your life. What you do afterwards will. Please be sure to leave a rating and a review of the show, and don't forget to share this episode with a friend or colleague who could use it. Last but not least, please have the audacity to believe in the inevitability of your success today. You deserve it.